So this is the Through the Social Lens podcast. I am India Devonish.
I'm Tiffany Jones.
I'm Malagasy.
I'm Geneva.
And for our topic today, we are doing Mafiathon 2, the streaming by Kai Cenat. So a little background knowledge is that Twitch is a streaming service that you can like online stream and stuff, and Kai Cenat's Mafiathon is a subathon, so it's where creators continuously live stream for like days on end, and the goal is to get more subscribers and followers. And Kai Cenat, he's real famous right now. He's an online streamer and a YouTuber, and yeah. And Mafiathon 2, it ranged from I think November 1st to November 30th, so the entire month of November.
So within that stream, he had multiple celebrities, all of different backgrounds, from Serena Williams to Chris Brown to Kevin Hart to this girl from iCarly. I don't remember her name.
Miranda Cosgrove?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So different people.
And to bounce off of that, I think him doing all that was the likability. So we tend to like sources that are more likable and more easily persuaded. So we figured that he used all these celebrities that were not too controversial to try and gain more followings and stuff like that.
Yeah, so in watching it too, just even like watching various clips, you can see the various persuasion techniques that he uses. For like when I was looking at it, so he uses a couple different compliance techniques. Like you said, one of them is likability. The other one I saw too would be ingratiation. So by getting us, like people like us, his viewers, his audience to like him, his end goal is so you get him to, you subscribe, or you donate money, or you donate, your time. So by even just you donating your time, I guess you could say, like by watching his stream, you're giving him kind of what he wants, which is more views, more streams, and everything, because you like him.
Yeah. And he definitely went about that in a peripheral route, which is based on focusing on non-relevant cues. So all these celebrities that was in the stream, everybody knows them, everybody loves them, and then we're seeing different sides of them. They're joking, they're laughing, they're dancing, and that gains more views for his marathon.
Yeah, and I think even too with like even just the normal reciprocity factor. So by like when you said like, okay, he's gonna be doing this huge subathon, so he's gonna be streaming nonstop from November 1st to November 30th, or that, I mean, we know like I would not want to do that. Like that was so by saying like, oh, he's gonna be doing that for us. He's gonna be delivering us a month long of just content with all of our favorite celebrities. We feel like we owe it to him to watch him. So because he's just even by him running and doing this stream, we feel obligated to watch it.
Yeah. And that bounces off of the That's Not All, which is like persuading people by inflating requests through adding bonus or something like that if they comply. So basically he started off with one celebrity, and it's like, okay, if I give you this person and you watch, I'm gonna give you this person. So he started off with Miranda Cosgrove from iCarly, and then he's like, okay, since everybody likes her, I'm gonna give you Serena Williams. If you continue to watch Serena Williams, I'm gonna give you Chris Brown and Sexy Red and Drewski and all that stuff.
Yeah, and people were saying he had like the most random celebrities, but like I think what he was doing, he was playing on the concept of likability, specifically similarity. So like we're more persuaded by sources that are similar to us, so it's similar to our interests. So instead of only doing rappers, he could have only done rappers, but he did rappers, basketball players, YouTubers, and then like nostalgia, like TV characters like Hip Hop Harry or Bill Nye the Science Guy. He even had like the whole cast of like Good Luck Charlie on there, and the voice actor for GTA. So like some people were saying like for Dashi, he brought on Dashi, who's a YouTuber. Some people in the comments were saying they were only there for him, like because like his YouTube channel was like their childhood. So like having like a wider variety of celebrities definitely increased his like viewership. He had like more audience members that way.
Yeah, and I think he also like he invokes a lot of emotions when he was watching the stream, kind of like what you were saying, where he it was similar to what we talked about in class with the Dunk Kings commercial, where like Ben Affleck was on it, and there was also like Tom Brady, Matt Damon, J-Lo. So it was like what Kai did too is he cast like a wide net, I'd say. So like even if I don't personally like certain celebrities that he had on there, that was just only one part of it, and then you know what I mean, and then there was others. So like he had Bill Nye on there, he had SZA, he had, like you said, Miranda Cosgrove. So even if you don't like certain artists or certain celebrities, but like I like Kevin Hart, so I'll watch the Kevin Hart part. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if I don't like Bill Nye, I didn't like Good Luck
Yeah.
Charlie. You know what I mean? It just gave you, it induced positive emotions
Mhm.
for somebody, no matter who was watching, when they were watching.
I feel like he also like really emphasized the emotion of empathy too, because he was talking about like 20% of his earnings, which again on the site I was looking at, we didn't even know how much he made, probably millions of dollars. He said that 20% of his earnings would go to this school he's building in Africa. So he figured, you know, if we know that he's donating to a charitable foundation, we're gonna
Yeah.
watch.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
It does
It
make
does.
sense. It does. Which leads me to the first question: is how different would the live stream be if the celebrities that were welcomed were not as likable? Like,
I know we talked about this like off camera too, but I personally think that it was a very interesting idea that I think people will still watch just because it's Kai. Like just because Kai's a likable person regardless. So even if necessarily his people that he brings on aren't likable, I think people will still watch, but it's about how they can maximize their efficiency and maximize their total revenue, I guess. It's and even just maximize the enjoyable stream, like the enjoyment for the audience. So, you know, I think that it helped that you have different people, and he definitely grabbed more of a different audience per se than someone who may not have heard of Kai beforehand. But
I feel like to talk more about like maybe celebrities that people didn't like he had DDG on there, which y'all know is Halle Baby's baby daddy, and DDG he brought on Halo, and Halle was mad, and I thought she did like attribution theory like low key, because I feel like she attributed more to like him being a bad father, bringing the baby on the stream and not letting her know, instead of like, oh, you know, maybe it was a last minute thing and he brought Halo on, blah 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 blah. And I feel like people don't like DDG because they feel like he's kind of like taken away from Halle's like, you know, famous and stuff. But I feel like they liked it because after this happened, Halle was like, oh, you know, like, I don't know why you blah blah blah, and people like the drama. They like them. They like Halle and DDG fighting because they figure, oh, you know, it's more drama and stuff. So I feel like even though they didn't like him, they were hyped for the drama because it was all over Shade Room. And then he also had Chris Brown on there, and some fans weren't happy that Chris Brown was on there because he still had, you know, the whole domestic violence thing with Rihanna, but again, people were still watching. So it didn't even matter, for real.
And that's kind of one of my questions too, is does this idea of just social media as a concept change marketing strategies for companies that want to add, like just play ads throughout that stream? So like if, I don't know, any random company like say Apple, what if they wanted to run an ad? Like they may not necessarily agree with what Chris Brown said, but like to your point, they just, people are gonna watch. Regardless if they like Chris Brown or not, they're gonna watch. Is it a new strategy to put out ads even with these controversial celebrities that are going on there when you know there's going to be tension, because you know people are going to watch it simply because there's tension and there's going to be like a, I wonder what he's going to say.
I feel like definitely. I think companies who want to advertise their product, they don't care what they put it on as long as it's getting advertising. Yeah.
I feel like that ties into the types of messages where in class we discussed that when people are put in a positive emotional state, we tend to they become cognitively distracted and do not do a lot of thinking. So even if they don't like these celebrities, because of what they're doing on the ads and on these streams, it kind of says, oh, they're laughing and they're joking, even though people don't like what Chris Brown did. He's laughing and joking with Kai, so it's like it distracts us and it makes us want to watch more.
Definitely. Yeah.
And I also think too, do you think that these social media influencers and streamers are good marketing tools? Because even while we were just talking, I remembered they used, Kai Cenat was just in a T-Mobile commercial with Patrick Mahomes and Snoop Dogg.
Really?
Yeah, he actually was. It was like, he just kind of sat on a couch and it was like Snoop Dogg was like the face of it, but he was there. And so like when you're watching it, I mean, you think about like maybe people of like our parents' generation, like most people know who Snoop Dogg is. But like I can tell you for a fact I don't think my dad and my mom know who Kai Cenat. Like, you know what I mean?
That is true.
And so like, do you think that these social media influencers and streamers are good marketing tools?
I feel like definitely, because like you said, like your parents may not know Kai Cenat, maybe Snoop Dogg. People, I feel like they use different celebrities to try and like pull in different audiences.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel
With the
like
likability factor too.
Yes.
Because maybe, you know, maybe kids like my younger brother, I mean, I hope he knows who Snoop Dogg is. He better. Like, he better, but you know what I mean? He knows who Patrick Mahomes is. He knows who Kai is because, like, Kai is, like, you know, the new, I guess you can call him, like,
The new iCarly.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's the new,
Yeah.
he's the new, like, celebrity of our generation, of our,
Mhm.
you know, maybe not necessarily ours, but, like, because like, we know who he is, but,
Mhm.
you know, the younger generations are going to be like, oh,
Yeah.
Kai's, like, their main source of knowledge.
So, I also focused on the biases.
Mhm.
So, there was a point in time when, you know, Lizzo and SZA, they both came on the streams together,
Mhm.
and they've been friends for years. Lizzo came off as like more extroverted, vibrant, and fun, and then SZA was more introverted, nervous, and shy. There's even a point in time where they were playing a couple of her songs. Kai was playing a couple of her songs, and SZA didn't like that. She didn't want to hear those songs. So it brought people to think, okay, why is SZA acting like that?
Mhm.
So I think it ties into motivational bias, where we're biased because we're motivated to see things a certain way.
Mhm.
Because of how SZA was acting, people think that, okay, she's a weirdo, she's jealous, she's not happy to be there, and so forth. And then they're also saying, if she's able to perform live in front of millions of people, why can't she have been herself in just, you know, this live stream or just in front of the other two?
Mhm.
And I think we don't think that, okay, maybe she just had social anxiety, so it's like different for her because now she's forced to be herself around them.
True. I feel like adding on to that too, like they had the beauty for bias about how they're still mad. Oh, beauty for bias. It's like, you know, we tend to bias more beautiful people.
Mm-hmm.
So about how like they didn't like Lizzo on there because she's bigger,
Yeah.
but then she's losing the weight naturally. But then they like
Yes.
SZA because SZA is beautiful and she has like the
Mhm.
long hair and a nice body. Then she got her
Yeah.
body done. So it's like,
Yeah.
how does that? Like you're biasing for SZA, but SZA's
Mhm.
had the work done. Then you have Lizzo who's trying to lose the weight naturally,
Yeah.
and y'all are still having a problem with her.
Yeah.
And then tying on to the fact of like intersectionality, when you have like multiple different factors of discrimination
Mhm.
and they kind of use it against you. Now, both Lizzo and SZA, they're in the industry as black women, and you know it's hard being a black woman in the industry, okay. But with Lizzo, she's a black woman and she's a bigger black woman, so she has two
Yeah.
factors working against her while SZA only has one. I think
Yeah.
it's so unfair.
Yeah, and to piggyback off of what you said, I think that also could go for heurological motives, which is like ideological perspectives color the way you see the world. So as you said with Lizzo and her weight journey, a lot of people have been saying, okay, her breathing is hard and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And an example that was used in class is like, if you're a white supremacist, you see immigrants as a threat. So I feel like just because Lizzo is like plus size, people say, okay, that's the reason why she was breathing hard and stuff. When in reality, you know, she could have just been tired because she was running around and stuff like that.
Mhm.
One interesting thing that you said too was people are confused if that's SZA's real self, like being judgmental and everything. It must be exhausting because to always have to be likable. Because
Yeah.
for example, like that's like if you think about it, this is like they're also promoting themselves on here because they're you know what I mean. So like they all have agents and they're like, okay, you're going on Kai's podcast.
Yeah.
You still have to be likable. You get what I mean? So maybe on stage she could be one way, but she has to keep that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like imagine if you had to be the same way you are in class
Mhm.
at home or with your
Mhm.
friends or with your your significant other or with your friends or anything like that. It would probably be exhausting
Yeah.
because you have to remain being this likable person
Mhm.
in order or else your music and what you do is gonna tank. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You gotta keep being SZA. You
Yeah.
know, she
Yeah.
she can't turn it off, especially not.
I never
on
thought of
TV.
it that way.
Yeah. Now that I'm looking at it, that could be an example of mindlessness. If
Mhm.
you ask people to do something in a mindless state and at which we're operating at, they're more inclined to do it.
Mhm.
So it's like you said, maybe she could have been tired, and then they're like, okay, you have to keep up this type of act on the stream.
keep
So
the
she's
appearance.
like, yeah, she's
Mhm.
more inclined to do that.
But even like with the mindless state stuff too, when you're watching the stream, you may not even be paying attention to SZA because you're in such a mindless state, and like that's what Kai does. He's got a
Yeah.
bunch of different things going around all the time.
Oh yeah.
So you're mindless. You're just watching it. You know what I mean? You're not necessarily
Mhm.
cueing in. Well, I mean, I get that's our whole idea of the podcast is to look at to cue into those details. But for the average viewer, like you may not even pick up on those SZA
Mhm.
cues on those things. You could just be like, oh well, because they're playing a Lizzo song. The focus is on Lizzo at that moment.
Mhm.
So.
They were even at one point all vibing to some gospel music, which they're not even gospel artists, but you know, it's just a way to keep us watching and stuff. Another question: what other persuasive techniques we could say were used besides these, or any other techniques we think were used in it?
Yeah, I mean, like I said too, with like the normal reciprocity again, I just like again, you could even look at it as okay, so you use the likability, you like Kai. I don't like if you don't like Lizzo music or you haven't heard of Lizzo music, you like Kai. Kai goes on there, Kai's vibing to Lizzo's music. Just because, so now you're like, okay, because I like Kai, because Lizzo took the time to go out and come out on this thing, I gotta listen to her music. I gotta at least play her song once because I feel obligated to because she. It's weird how the human mind works. That like you know you could be like she took the time out of her day to go on my favorite streamer's video. I gotta pay her some respect. So you know.
An example of what you just said is like there's a time when Kai was praying and Kevin and Drewski, they were laughing. So a lot of people gained more respect for Kai because even though those two were laughing at him, he still continued to pray.
Why were they laughing at him? That's crazy.
I know, it was,
That's crazy.
Yeah, and I think that leads to another possible discussion too with like likability. Somebody who like a lot of people that are Christian and everything, they don't that makes you not like necessarily Kevin Hart or Drewski when it could be a different moment. You know what I mean? Because I mean, like I said, I'm a fan of Kevin Hart. Like Kevin Hart could be like he's religious at times, and not others, but it's all subjective. But seeing that Kai does that and takes time out of his stream is interesting too, and it is cool to see like the likability factor of that. Really seems like it's him because not a lot of people may not want to see you pray on a live stream. You know what I mean? So.
I feel like he also used credibility too. So like, if you think a source is more credible, then they're more persuasive to you. He has large followings. On Twitch, he has 728,000 after Mafiathon 2. Then on YouTube, he has 10.5 million subscribers. So like, many different generations love him because they figure, if he has so many followings, he knows what he's doing. And then with the trustworthiness, he also builds trust with the audience through like authentic interaction and vulnerable moments. The vulnerable moments could be like the prayer you guys were talking about. Or he was talking about like towards the end of Mafiathon 2, he was talking about like in a heartfelt speech that he's thankful that God put him in his position to change lives. And he was like, he's made different sacrifices in his social and personal life to like do what he loves to do. And he also like responds to like chat messages and stuff like that, address the audience directly. Like he really likes to build that relationship with his audience. But then it makes you wonder if it's to get more money or is it to be authentic?
True.
You don't know.
That's a good question, and I think it just falls under ingratiation, which is make people like you by showing you like them.
Yeah. To be honest, my article kind of ties into this. It's a scholarly article titled like Gift Giving Intentions in Pan Entertainment Live Streaming. I think it's based in like, Japan or something like that. And it was saying as to how like influencers, they use this thing called a deceptive self-presentation. So that's like intentional and strategic presentation of false, misleading info about themselves. So we figure, maybe Kai is like doing it with the audience because he loves blah blah blah, but in actuality you put it on this facade like I don't really care, but like I need money. Like I don't really care, but I was homeless with my sister and stuff and my mom, so I need to make money to like live a comfortable life. And also talks about like how streaming and stuff is based on like the social exchange theory. It's like individuals engage in social interactions based on the rewards and costs and stuff like that. So because like the rewards, the streamers are rewarded because they get money, but then we figure, we give them like the monthly subscriptions and we give them like money and gifts and stuff, so they figure let me provide for y'all and like stream and entertain you guys. So like the exchange.
I think in that case Kai would be more promotion oriented, where he's more drawn to the success and achievement by giving people those kinds of message, by persuading them. And then we, like it or not, we would be more prevention oriented because we're the ones who is giving him the views, so we're more drawn to the message. Yeah,
but I think too, just even if you look at his stream, it's all like a combination of peripheral and central route audience. Like because he does use a little bit of hints of both. To be honest, most of it is targeted towards the peripheral route individuals. So the peripheral route, you guys know, is there's got to be, it's not necessarily detail oriented and it's not full of facts, it's mostly just like a pretty picture. You got to put up a pretty picture and people are going to watch that because they want to, you know, it's less about the message, it's just more about what's being presented to them, the content of it. Whereas the Central Route people, they need the facts, they need the details, they need all the information about it. So, you know, what do you guys think is more of like effective for Kai's audience in particular? Is it more of like the peripheral route or the Central Route?
I think it's more peripheral because of all what's going on. Really and truly, if you think about it, what are we learning from this live stream? Nothing. We're only just watching a bunch of people do crazy stuff. For example, I forgot the name of the person, but a very famous YouTuber he brought on that pulled a prank. And he took the prank way too far. He basically pranked Kai about killing himself, which was way too much, which almost ended the stream because that could have definitely ruined his career. So definitely peripheral. But in that sense, if I had to argue something about it, I would say peripheral can be a bit much sometimes.
Yeah, because my article here, it's from 2024 and it's called The Influencer Authenticity and Intention to Co-Create Brand Value. It's an investigation of the central and peripheral pathways. So the main focus of the study was to determine how effective different authenticities of influencers will impact people's intention to purchase different products. It's based in Pakistan. So over a 4-month period, they administered surveys to 421 Pakistan social media influencers. And a quote that I have from the article says that the results showed a significant impact of influencer authenticity on behavioral intentions. So in that part, you know, talking about how there was how authentic and how, you know, likable the social media influencer was there, did show that there was different motivations to purchase product and different behavioral impacts on it. And then to continue the quote, said serial mediation indicated that consumers follow the central route of persuasion, which I found interesting. And so a couple of different questions I wanted to ask you guys about were, we talked about how, like we said, the Kai stream is more of peripheral route, we think. So with this, it's saying they took more of the central route. So is this a cultural difference? And do you think US results would be different, like if they did a similar study in the United States?
I feel like it's definitely a cultural difference. America is definitely aimed to more towards peripheral. Like if you look at half that commercials on televisions, it's really peripheral. Like a lot of times I'll see these commercials about cars, about drinks, about snacks, and it's literally way towards the end I realize what they're talking about because the vast majority of it is just them acting.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, even in my article it talks about like streamers, like just people in general in like commercials, like they'll use their attractiveness and stuff to like reciprocate all the things that they get from the viewers. So they figure, oh, you know, if I'm attractive or like I can like give something to viewers, then they'll give me the views that I want and then I'll make money. So it's definitely about like you're trying to bring in the viewers to get enough money and stuff so you live comfortably. Or promote your product, I guess.
My article kind of piggybacks off of your article. It's called Persuasiveness of Celebrity Endorsed Advertising and a New Model for a Celebrity Endorser section. And just to read a little spiel from it, it says, with the rapid paces of product diversification and competition in most commodity markets, there have been more and more ways for sellers to introduce products and promote existing products and for buyers to get to know these products using the celebrity as endorsers. But further down, it's saying it depends on the celebrity. So, for example, if you wanted to talk about baby oil, you're not going to use Diddy. Because if you use Diddy to advertise baby oil, I don't think you're gonna get those baby oil sales.
Or you might get a lot of baby oil sales.
You might get a lot of, but I think, me personally, if you get a lot of baby oil sales, you gotta look into that person. They're probably doing some activities they shouldn't be doing. But if you want a lip line or like something of that sort to sell, you probably use the Kardashians since they're more, you know, articulated towards that type of stuff.
Yeah, that is interesting too. Yeah, you're definitely right. If you wouldn't use, you wouldn't.
I don't know. I feel like using celebrities for advertising, you definitely have to figure out which sub you want to use because people use the availability heuristic. So judging things off what first comes to mind. For example, if you were to use Chris Brown, everybody loves Chris Brown, but when you think of Chris Brown, you think, oh, he hit Rihanna. That's the first thing that comes to mind. So you figure that you need to use a celebrity that they haven't done anything too controversial.
Yeah.
So when they're trying to advertise their product, you're like, oh, you know, I want to buy their product, but then they were in a domestic violence situation with another person.
Yeah.
You know?
But he comes in because, like you said, when you think Chris Brown, the first thing you think about is with him and Rihanna. That's the last thing I think about. Like, I'm a
Same.
Chris Brown fan.
Me
Like,
too. Why are people still attributing all the domestic stuff to Chris Brown? Dr. Dre
Yeah.
literally just got a Legend Award the other day, and everyone knows he was mean on Michelle and everything. So why do we attribute bad stuff to some but not others?
Yeah.
That's an interesting thought. I mean, personally, it could be that Dr. Dre has already solidified his fame before it came out. Like when Chris, so like if you think about it, Chris Brown was on like
He was on thing,
he was
but he was
on-
like right there,
but
like
he was
first
he was
thing.
but like he was on his come up, and people like Rihanna too though. So
Mhm.
like when it came out, it was like Rihanna's already established herself as like, okay, people love Rihanna,
Mhm.
and here's this guy that people also like, but who they like more, Chris Brown or
Yeah.
Rihanna.
I never thought about
Dr.
that.
Dre, who's this major, like basically huge in hip hop,
Yeah.
brought it to where it is today.
Yeah,
Like
he was already
even-
established.
He's
I
already
never thought about that.
established. Like you know.
We talk about in the class as to how if you have one way, you can't really change it after
Yeah.
a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, your
Oh.
attitudes are very
Yeah.
strong, which is why
Yeah.
younger people are easier to be persuaded than older people. Because like if you're gonna, you know what I mean? Like it's how do you think about the individual that's not
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the more solidified your attitudes are, the more you're gonna stand by them. So
Yeah.
my attitude about I'll always support Rihanna over Chris Brown because I liked Rihanna music before I had heard of Chris Brown.
Yeah.
Okay. You want to mention your article, Jenny?
Yeah, my article was like I found an article that focuses on social exchange theory and gift giving behavior. So I thought it was interesting in relation to our podcast because in like one of the class live streams, he had like the voice actor for GTA for one of the GTA characters, so Franklin. He had him thank members for like gifting subs, like, and so that encouraged more people to give subs just so they could hear their name being called.
Yeah.
Oh.
I didn't even think about that, but that's a really excellent point too. With I mean, and technically, I mean, you can even think about the gift is the gift of entertainment, the gift of content, the gift of enjoyment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Kai doesn't have to do this, and he doesn't have to give us the pleasure, I guess, of watching his stream and seeing the different celebrities, but he does.
Yeah.
That was a very interesting point. I never thought of it like that.
Oh. Yeah, my article says that like in the context of like entertainment live streaming, viewers may perceive streamers as like as a social partner and they want to engage in that exchange relationship with them. So they figure, oh, if I give you gifts and like money and stuff, then you'll give me entertainment.
Mhm.
But I never thought about like if someone else's name is called, you want to be called too.
Yeah, he was getting like a lot of subs after that. After
Wow.
the voice actor was like, thank you so and so for the 5 subs. Everyone was leaving subs. They couldn't even keep up.
Wow.
Mhm. I mean, and that's why, like, again, too, one of my questions: do you guys think social media influencers and streamers are the new marketing tools, as opposed to traditional celebrities and movie stars?
I mean, probably only because I feel like maybe like on TikTok and stuff, we feel closer to the influencers than we do celebrities. Like celebrities, they don't really talk about like their fans and stuff, but TikTokers and stuff, they'll be like, oh my god, yes, thank you so much, like on live stream or like in their videos, like thank you guys so much, and they didn't even call us fans, they call us their supporters. So it feels like we're closer to them than like being fans like a celebrity.
Yeah,
That's true.
It's like you said too. Like, I mean, watching something live and seeing it, you just feel more of a connection. Like movies are edited; they're scripted. You
Yeah.
know what's gonna happen. But watching something live and seeing like the person, like it almost feels like a video chat, especially when they're interacting.
Yeah.
Especially when they're interacting, and reading comments, and like people donating. They say a joke, you see the person laugh, and you're like, "Holy cow! I just made that person laugh by
Yeah.
saying something." I think that these use of streamers are gonna be the future because people relate to them. You know what I mean? I mean, you see.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of that, I feel like that's why Starbucks and Dunkin', McDonald's, Wendy's, they have themed meals. Like the other day, they had a SpongeBob
They had the
meal.
Kaizen meal at
They had the
McDonald's,
Kaizen,
chicken.
they had the ice spice donuts and stuff like that. Although personally, I think it's still this regular meal, but
Oh, definitely
you're
still
still
regular.
inclined
But
to
you
buy.
won't buy it because you
Yeah,
figure,
because-
I like this
Right.
person, I'm gonna buy it. Like,
Right. My last question is like kind of similar to the other questions, but just a food for thought. Although none of the routes is more persuasive than the other, if Kai had brought out Dr. Miami, which is like a famous BBL doctor, to inform people about the side effects or the dangers of BBLs, it has nothing to do with peripheral route. How different would that stream have gone? Like, do we think people would still be watching? Would he still have the same amount of views, the same amount of excitement?
That's a very good question. I think it would depend on the context of who just came before that. You know what I mean? If it's relevant, I feel like if he opened up the stream with that doctor, people are gonna be like, I don't really get it.
Yeah.
But like if you look at if he had like on an actor or if he had someone on who had that procedure done previously, and then he brought the doctor out with them and they're talking about it, that would probably be crazy.
I feel also too, it depends on so like for example, if you brought the doctor out with SZA, I feel like if you like SZA, you'll be like, oh, it's not a big of a deal, blah blah blah. But then like if you don't like Lizzo, you'd be like, oh, well, maybe she should get it or blah 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 blah. Because one of my thoughts was like, they hate Lizzo when she's bigger, they hate her when she's smaller, she can't win.
Yeah.
And then too, I feel like also like as you said, people weren't really liking SZA on the stream because she was being awkward. If they didn't like her at that moment, maybe they'd figure, oh, like BBLs are bad blah blah because she got it done.
Yeah.
One of my thoughts was like a lot of Kai's audience is like probably younger because younger people are easier to persuade than older people, so like it was easier for him to like reach his sub goal because a lot of people on Twitch are like younger viewers just browsing, so like it could have been because of the lifestyle beliefs, and so like younger people don't really have as strong attitudes as older people, so they're more likely to click on Kai's stream if they never watched it before. But it could also be because the generational differences, so like they're watching it because everyone else is watching Kai's stream. So that was just something I was thinking. Like a lot of it. Like one of the ways he achieved his like sub goals is like he already had like a lot of subs, so like his competence, like he was already incredible. He had like the sub counter, like in like day one he already reached like 10 million subs on YouTube. So that like so like that just showed that he was like an incredible source, that he was competent. And so he even had like at the entire stream he had like a sub counter where like he had like these sub goals. He like broke the record like pretty quickly. Like it didn't take him the entire stream, the entire 30 days to break the record. So like having the sub counter on there for the sub goals definitely like showed his competence like in the space of the stream.
Yeah, and I mean even now that we're talking about like the recap, it's like he's a very smart individual. Like we respect him a lot more because he's a very competent individual. He knows exactly what he's doing. You know what I mean? Like he knows that if he just turns on that camera and people are gonna tune in.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
Like it depends on. I feel like for generation wise, we all look at the same things. Like my article was saying that its method was like using responses from like surveys for 331 TikTok users, and they're saying as to how like stuff like attractiveness for like Kai, girls like us, we think he's attractive. He's short, and if like expertise, like he's credible. He has a whole bunch of followings. He knows what he's doing. Then they have like the interactions, and then the deceptive self-presentation. We're not sure if he's doing this stuff because he likes us or he's doing it to get money. Like it doesn't matter generation. It all depends on like what we find in different people is what we watch.
I also think the actual content too coming off of the stream is like Kai does a very good job with keeping it very general. So like what I guess what I'm trying to say is like Kai's not out there talking about who he supports politically. You know what I mean?
That's
Because
true.
that would divide it a lot. Like if regardless of what party came out and said that, like Kai's not gonna do that because it would destroy his credibility for some people and increase it for others. So when you tie yourself to like Kai keeps his content very general. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he
Very
includes
general, unbiased.
yeah, he doesn't really put a lot of people on there. Like he didn't have different celebrities that endorsed certain candidates. He didn't really have. They may sway one way more than the other, but notice how they didn't talk about it on his stream.
Yeah.
So I think
I
that
thought of it like that.
I thought of it that was an interesting thing too. And
I mean, overall, I think that we can all say peripheral route was definitely used used within this stream.
Definitely between the celebrities, his credibility, the likability, blah, blah, blah.
He definitely did a good job in persuading us to watch him, hence why he's now very popular, very famous. Which
Well, I mean, he did a great job persuading it because it's December 11th. It's been
Yes.
11 days since
Yeah.
the thing ended, and here we are talking
Still
about
I
it.
know,
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
30 days of it, 24 hours a day.
And we're still talking about it right now.
Yes.
Makes us, say, wow, if you're that committed, then we have to be committed to watching you.
Yeah, and we're still watching the clips of it. Even if we didn't watch
Yeah.
the stream, we're watching the
Yeah.
clips. We're watching him talk about
Mhm.
all these different celebrities, and we're watching the drama.
Yeah.
We're eating it up.